local comedian, Toby Grace. Toby, it's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you're one of approximately 200 local comedians
hmm
who are probably somewhat out of work right now due to COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, completely out of work.
um, so I was just wondering how you're dealing with that.
Well, I think me personally, at the beginning, it wasn't too bad because, you could sit back, have a couple quarantinis and however you wanted to just kind of relax throughout the middle of all this.
Mhm.
But as it's dragged on, as it's become very political, I think it's been a big stretch on a lot of people's mental health, especially in the comedian community, which I don't know if it'll come as a surprise to anybody, but mental health tends to be at a deficit in that community to begin with. So the added stress hasn't been particularly helpful to a lot of people.
I can imagine. um, So we have a clip from one of your recent comedy routines where you address COVID, and I think that we will end our interview here and cut over to that. Thank
Yeah,
you so
absolutely.
much for
hmm
being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Hmm.
Hi, I'm Toby Grace, and there is no way to cold open this. There's no crowd work to do. There's no applause. You're just literally talking, trying to build in some kind of rhythm, some kind of vocal cadence that'll actually get you from one side of a 4-minute set to the other side of a 4-minute set. There really isn't anything that makes this feel normal or natural or even funny. Like, as I'm doing this, I'm not having fun, and I like to believe that it shows. Instead, I'm nervous because we're all just trying to reach out to the world at this point, and I don't really see a way to connect with people in the middle of this pandemic. You can't hug a stranger. Not that I ever really hugged strangers before. Been tempted. I mean, there's no way to make it not sound creepy, but there is also a way to admit, like, you can see somebody on the street and think, they a good hugger. They know how to make you feel safe in their arms. The thing that is hardest is trying to look at the bright side of things. Because when you turn on the news and you see that 200,000 people are dead, and that's another thing, you don't like actually using the real number because, of course, everything gets dated, and then you're always afraid that people are like, well, is he just not paying attention to that? Oh, is he overinflating it? So you feel like you're always having to try to walk the sweet spot between the language and between the number that you need to end up getting to. Like, at this point, we're talking like 200,000, but at some point, we could be talking like 400,000 or 600,000 or a million people, and every number smaller than that will just feel utterly disrespectful and quaint. And then you kind of wish that everything had a time stamped on this. Considering I'm doing this on my cell phone right now, I'm pretty sure there is some kind of metadata that I can go back to and use as some kind of proof. But I digress. I'm kind of getting off topic here. It's hard as we kind of re-enter society because there are some of us who are worried or take it very seriously, and there are some of us who, end up at videos in Costco. And as entertaining as those are to watch, and as much as I always take the Costco employees' side when they actually try to do something like, protect other human life, which is usually something that we would turn to our government to do, but these days, they're kind of the ones lighting the match. So what do we do when we're the ones who have to not just be inside and not just have to deal with all of this, but we end up being disconnected from our friends and family and from the humor that used to surround us? And it hit me just the other day when I was in a public place, and I don't know what the current elevator etiquette that we're on is. I'd like to believe that if we're in a small elevator situation, what we need to agree on is one person per elevator, or one, contained group per elevator. But when we're at this point now where I get on the elevator and then like 2 other people on the next floor try to get on, I will exit the elevator to get off. And they will always give me a look at me like I am the rude one, not willing to share an elevator. And that's when it dawned to me, in the annals of elevator health and elevator safety, where we have to go with this. And I realized something. If you don't believe that you can get infected by this virus just by traveling through the air, I want to remind you of something. farting in enclosed spaces. Because if worse comes to worse and you're really trying to rub in the rudeness, it's pretty easy to look over at somebody and say, hey, if you can smell my farts, I can get you real sick. Thank you.